My name is Phillipa McCormack. I research the law at the University of Adelaide. And I get to answer, oh my goodness, such an interesting question. The question is, what social and political change would support a switch to nuclear energy? This is such an interesting question because it's not really about whether nuclear is good or the best or likely to be something that we adopt, but it's a question about the kind of change we'd need to bring in something that controversial. And I love the question because the kinds of changes that we need, really large scale, sometimes complicated and controversial changes, are actually going to be kind of similar for nuclear as they are for really massive social, technical, and industrial changes, like huge wind farms in places that are also really important for agriculture and for threatened species. Sometimes it's not going to be a win-win. We need to be able to grapple with these big and complicated changes and help people to understand what they mean. So that's how I'm going to answer this question. We need to do a lot more than riding bikes and growing our own veggies. So the social and political changes that we need to make are going to be crucial. Here's what I think. In terms of political change, you could go two ways on this. A really jaded view might say you can achieve political change to switch to nuclear power if you just had lots of people and corporations that wanted nuclear energy giving lots of money on the sly to politicians. That's a terrible thing to do and you should never do it. And I don't think that should be the way our politics changes. A different view, a better one, I think, would be to say if there was really solid evidence for nuclear being the best option for this transition, then we'd need politicians to have to listen to that evidence and then choose not to lie about it or spin about it, but to actually act on it. And that's where I think the question's really similar to the other things that we need to do. Because in fact, in relation to wind energy and tax reform and land use planning and disaster response, we need politicians to listen to the evidence and then not to lie about it or spin about it, to act on it. So here's a couple of changes that I think you'd need to make to help politicians listen to that evidence and then to act on it. I know, and it is widely known, that politicians meet many, many more people involved in industry, large corporations and big organisations than with scientists and community members. We don't get to see most politicians' diaries, but a lot of people who earn a lot of money, who work for corporations, get to speak to politicians about the things that matter to them. I reckon if you're a politician, you should have to meet at least as often with scientists and community members in your electorate as you do with those big corporations. And then you'd be getting a whole lot of different views. And you should be able to demonstrate that you're meeting with this range of people. There should be rules that say whenever you make a new law, like you set out a new set of rules and explain what we're going to do as a country, you should have to demonstrate that that new law responds to and is built on the best available science. Because then when you write a law, you'd have to talk to people who know about the science and who know about what is going to work and what we really need. The other thing, in terms of making sure that governments act on matters and not just talk about them or spin them, you should have a truth in politics law. Now, in South Australia at the moment, there's actually a rule that says that when we go into elections, you're not actually allowed to lie about what the policies are, about what's going on. And that's been used to have ordinary people complain about particular political ads that have then been taken down. We need that at the national level and in every state and territory. But we also need to be able to speak to our politicians and help them to understand that what we really want from them is action based on good science and community values and based on a really rapid, deep and equitable transition so that we can all respond to this climate crisis together.